here from Rain Country. God is good all the time, and I'm here for my Monday this and that video. And if you are new to my channel, what these are about are simply my weekly vlogs that I do to get you caught up on some things going on, experiments I've started, to lead you back to some old videos or let you know of new ones that are coming out, and to answer any questions you may have had in this last week. So let's get started on the topics of today. So right here, this was kind of the last minute thing I threw in here, is one of my 2 nasturtium flower vinegars I started a long time ago. In fact, I'm not even sure how long they've been sitting here. And so I thought I'd bring this up because one question I get a lot is sometimes people are making vinegars. Typically, they're going to take about 30 days. Sometimes they can be done in less, but sometimes it can take a lot longer. Now, I'm pretty sure I didn't add a lot of sugar to this. I added the usual amounts, which to an herbal vinegar, I'm going to go up to a half cup of sugar in one of these. Yet they're still sweet, they're still fermenting, they're taking a very long time. This can happen, but I know they're still in the process because I still see bubbles. I did strain this one out, so there's no flowers left in it, but I do like to taste them now and then if I don't see any action going on, and check and see if it's still bubbling. That means it's still working. Now, it can seem like it's completely stopped bubbling, and usually when that happens, it's actually at the point that it's starting to convert the alcohol into vinegar. But while it's still converting the sugars into alcohol, that's when you're going to see all the bubbling going on. So there are those 2 stages. Now, if you'd like to have more information about vinegar making, I'll link to the last video I did because I believe I was pretty thorough in that particular one. But yes, you can make vinegars out of just about anything that's edible. It doesn't matter if it's a fruit, an herb, or a vegetable. All right, now let's talk a little bit about what I got here on my counter. So most of this is stuff I just harvested either yesterday or today. And I got some sunflowers here, even though normally I leave them out so they can go to seed, so I can have seed to feed to my chickens and some to sell on the store. The problem with my sunflowers, I mean, there's so many out there and they're big and they're beautiful, but even as tall as they are, because of my thick wall of grapevines, I should be able to look straight out there and see my sunflowers, but the grapevines hide all that. So I thought, why not go ahead and bring some in just for the sake of their beauty? So right here is the Velvet Queen. This is the Autumn Beauty. This is my Lemon Queen. And then I don't know what this is. This one, it came in one of the packs of seeds that I got, and I know I planted it specifically. So I have this gold colored one too. So I think when I do make that one seed pack, I'm going to mix these 3 together and just call it an autumn blend, but I'll probably still keep the Lemon Queen ones separate. And then right here, you can see I've got a pile. I don't have the camera pointed down far enough, but I got a pile of my 5 color Chinese peppers. There's still more out there to pick. Now remember, I said you can pick them at any stage from purple to red and it's fine. They're ready as soon as they get to their full size that you can see, which typically the biggest they get are around about this big. They're not a very big pepper, but they don't need to be. They're spicy enough. Now what I'm doing currently is I am freezing up a bunch. Now when it comes to these, because I like to use them mostly in stir fries, then I prefer to have them frozen rather than dehydrated. Now if I was going to throw them into a sauce or a soup, then I don't mind dehydrating them. In fact, dehydrating is a great way to preserve peppers. In fact, these ones go clear back to 2015, where I bought a big box of jalapenos to put up, and I was doing most of it was for making salsa. Then I took all the rest and sliced them and dehydrated them up. And you can see they still look really good even after 6 years. But I do prefer to chop my peppers up, my hot peppers, and then freeze them in a jar. And then I just take out what I need at a time when I'm doing my stir fries or whatever it is I'm adding it to. But as you can see back here, you'll see, if you saw my community post, I've been using the fresh ones in my honey infused garlic. So this particular blend is honey infused garlic, black seed, and the Chinese 5 color peppers. I do actually have a video I've already shot on making these. This is the rosemary extract. Those are for the purpose of helping to prevent getting ill with colds, flus, and so on. And so this is something where, you know, we switch it up and take a little bit every day. But I'll have more information coming out on that in a video that's already uploaded and scheduled to publish. I might try to rearrange my videos a little bit more to get it out sooner, but it shouldn't be too awful long. Maybe 2 weeks out from the time you're seeing this video at the most. And then I did pick a few of my apples today. I got some real pretty ones out there, and figured I just want to bring some in, not only to show them, but so we can just start snacking on them because they're really good like this. We don't have as many apples this year as we had in 2019, but definitely better than we did last year. Last year was terrible, but 2019 we were just covered up in apples. So what I didn't dehydrate or use to make apple butter and applesauce, I went ahead and pressed them out and made cider out of them. Some of that I froze up to keep it in its raw form because fresh apple cider is so good. And then some of the rest I turned into an apple wine, which turned out pretty good. I don't know that I'm going to do that this year. We'll see. And then I have a couple of pumpkins. This one obviously was ready. I went ahead and brought it in. So these are the sugar pie pumpkins, or excuse me, these are the New England pie pumpkins. These ones tend to do best for me. And the reason I picked this one, even though it's only just started to turn orange, is because it's getting really heavy, and it's actually on the outside of that cattle panel. If you remember one of my videos, I was talking about how I had one that was outside the cattle panels and the chickens found it. So when I saw this was hanging so low and it was at their level, it wasn't that low before, it was much higher. And so yesterday I saw how low it was hanging. I'm like, those chickens see that, they're gonna hollow it out like they did my other one. So I went ahead and brought it in, and I just thought I would explain. You might not realize this, but you can, like if you're worried about your pumpkins or your other squash freezing, as long as they're getting to the point where they're starting to change color, you can go ahead, just like with tomatoes, and bring them in, and they will finish turning orange. So I don't know, I can't remember how long it takes. It takes a while, but I'll probably show you an update in a future this and that video, whether it be next week or the week after that. And it should be, eventually it'll be fully orange like this one is. But I do have more out there. That's just, again, that one was to rescue it before the chickens found it. And I'm still harvesting tomatoes and doing various things with those. I was gonna make up some more tomato flakes with the last big batch I had ready to go, but instead I used those to make a big pot of Italian sausage soup, as you can see right here. And hopefully today I'll be shooting the video on how I did that. I took photos and video clips while I was making it that day, and then the plan was to then shoot the video. So plan on doing that today, and so you can see that recipe. It was the first time I'd made the soup in many years, and I was so excited. It's one of my favorite soups. And then I'm still getting a little bit of rhubarb, and one thing I've noticed, normally this late in the season I don't even bother with the rhubarb, but because I wanted to put more up to make some more rhubarb wine, I decided to keep harvesting it as long as I got some nice fresh canes still coming in. But you got to check them, because some of those ones, they might look beautiful, but if you go to squeeze it and it just kind of crushes, those are no good. They're too old. But these ones are young enough that I can still use these, but I notice how short they are. It's funny how the difference is them growing in this colder weather than in the spring, is that in the spring they'll get a lot longer, a lot bigger, like you can see in this picture here. But these are still good, so still getting them froze up, and then probably pretty soon I'll be getting started on making some more rhubarb wine. All right, that's it for the garden stuff I wanted to talk about today, so let me talk about a few other things. So right here, some of you have probably heard of this. I finally broke down and bought some recently to give it a try. Though I am growing chicory. I'm gonna let it sit in the ground for a couple years before I start harvesting the roots for making whatever, coffee replacement or whatever. And of course I can get dandelion root anytime. But I wanted to try this blend to see what I thought, especially until I get enough roots gathered together where I can roast my own for making a coffee replacement. Now I love coffee and I don't have a problem with drinking it, and I go back and forth, but I do like to switch things up. For several years I was doing the jet fueled latte, and sometimes I'll still have that, and I do have a recipe out on that that I'll link to down below. Totally coffee free and very, very healthy for you, especially if you're in menopause or you're trying to heal your thyroid. But anyway, my nieces love this stuff, and I thought I'd finally give it a try. And I love it. I really, really like it. Now, it's mostly dandelion root and chicory root, but it has a few other ingredients in it as well. And I just found out this morning this actually comes in an organic version. It is non-GMO, but it does also come in organic. But honestly, I think when it comes to dandelion and chicory, you don't really have to worry about it being organic, because if they're growing the dandelion and the chicory for the sake of the plant, they're not going to be spraying it anyway, and there's no need to, because those kind of plants don't need fertilization. Chicory and dandelion are related. They can grow very well just about anywhere. I was surprised at how big my chicory plants got. I didn't know they could get to 8 feet tall or taller. They got huge. I thought maybe 4 feet tops would be the biggest they'd get, so that was a surprise. But I do have a video coming out, by the way, on the benefits of chicory that I shot a couple weeks ago, I think. So it should be coming out maybe as soon as next week, or maybe this week. I don't know. But anyway, watch for that video to come out if you want to learn more about chicory and its benefit. And by the way, this is what I keep the Dandy blend in. So it is really good. And I like it both mixed with some coffee. Sometimes I'll take the tea from the night before, especially if it has mint in it, and fill my cup halfway with that, add this, and then top it off with coffee. That's really good. But I am finding I do like it just mixed with water, no coffee at all. And it does kind of have a coffee flavor with a little bit of sweetness. And but when I make it as a coffee replacement without using coffee in it, then I use a lot. I make it strong. That's the way I like it. So I recommend it if you're trying to get away from coffee altogether. You can either try the jet fueled latte or you can try the Dandy blend. I'll go ahead and link to it down below, to the cheapest place I found to buy it, which is actually not Vitacost. I was surprised. Okay, so a couple other things I wanted to cover, and this is in regards to the chamber. We've had a lot of people buying our chambers lately. Thank you very much for your support in that way. But there's been a couple of people, and this has been a new thing, that have had issues getting their wing nut to tighten down, and trying to talk them through some things and trying to figure it out. We finally figured out what the problem was with at least one or two of those people, is that how they're putting the thing back together. So one of the things you got to realize, if you're having a hard time turning it, it could just need a little lubrication. So putting some kind of food grade grease, like though I try to avoid Crisco, that wouldn't be bad. If you have Crisco and you're not using it in bacon, you can use it in this, or even coconut oil. So take the whole thing apart and just put a little grease on the bolt and then put it back together. But here's the thing. If you're loosening it way up every time you go to take this off your chamber, or you're taking it apart and not making sure it's put back together all the way, like I just said, take it apart, inspect the bolt to make sure there's nothing lodged in there. That can happen sometimes too. A little piece of metal slag or whatever gets in there in the production of it. I want to show you one little trick about this that could be causing an issue that's preventing people from being able to tighten the lid down. So I'm taking this wing nut completely off. Okay, and I want to show you so you know that all the different parts there are. So you got the wing nut. You've got this little plastic washer here that goes between the wing nut and the top. Obviously the top, and notice the shape. This faces down. This is the gripper part that's going to grip the inside of the chamber itself. Then that's going to cause that, and that's going to create the seal so you can get a good vacuum. Okay, and then you've got the base. So it's tapered in this way. Okay, and then you've got the bolt with this little black part here. Now this part, there's no need to take that off of there. So just leave that on there if you ever take that apart. Now what I want to show you is the very bottom. You see the shape of that? How it's shaped like a square? And then look at this. There's a square. That square on this bolt needs to be seated inside this square here. If it is not seated in there, see, do you hear that? So if it's sitting like this, and you're trying to get that nut to screw down, then it's not catching on this bottom part, and it's not going to screw down all the way. So make sure that's seated in there really good. And even if it's not, you're not taking apart like I did here completely, If you're just loosening it up all the way every time, which there's no need for that, then it could be that your bolt is slipping out of that square part there, and that's why you're not able to get it to catch. Make sure you put your little washer on there, put the wing nut on, and if in that process you feel that bolt slip out of that, before you tighten that down too far, make sure it's seated in there right. Just check it. It'll be sticking up. You'll see space between here if it's not seated in there correctly. And then just tighten it enough that it's going to hold all the pieces together. You should be able to slip that right inside your chamber as is. Then once you have it in your chamber, it should hold just fine. And then you can tighten it down as much as you need to. And also sometimes simply just working this like this, you know, tightening it outside of the chamber all the way down as far as you can go, and then loosening it back up. That will help make it easier to use. And then with that in mind, I'm also getting a lot of questions now again about the skirts. I know I said probably after the wedding was over I was going to get back into the skirt making, but what I wasn't thinking at the time is after the wedding, during the wedding, and after the wedding, it's still a lot of harvest and putting food up. And so I'm going to get all of that behind me before I get serious back into skirt making. I'm not going to take any more custom orders at this time. I'm just going to start working through the fabrics I have and then putting the skirts up on the store. And just keep in mind, people go, well, I keep looking at your store, but there's no skirts. Even when I'm busting out a lot of skirts, even that rare week that I might get 5 or 6 skirts made in a week, because for whatever reason I seem to have that kind of time, they sell just like that. They sell just as quick as I put them up. So the chances of actually seeing a skirt on the store when I'm actually making them on a regular basis is kind of rare. So the best way to know about that is go to our Etsy store. It's that link you'll see right at the top of the description box down below, or that little red flower that pops up at the end of every video right over here in the corner. And if I'm standing on that side, it pops up on this side. Then you can click on that. It will take you to our store. Make sure that you have an Etsy account and you're logged in, and then favorite our store. And then what should happen is that you'll get little notifications. Possibly, I think you can choose to get emails whenever I list a new product. All right, well, I hope that helped and answered a few questions, gave you some ideas. And any videos I think will be of interest to you that are pertain to any of these topics, I'll be linking to down below, so you can open up that description box and see what we've got down there and any other links. And thanks for watching. Take care and God bless.